Hello, everyone. I'm Ben Johnson, and this is the Perpetual Chess Podcast. On Perpetual Chess, I have weekly conversations with the chess world's best players, promoters, and educators about their lives, careers, current projects, and best practices. For more information, go to perpetualchesspod.com. Hey everyone, I am here with Thibault Duplessis, the founder of LiChess.org, an open source chess playing and learning software. I think a lot of listeners will be familiar with it, but I also want to thank Thibault because we've had more technical difficulties than I've ever had. He had to order a mic just for the interview, and then last week we had the misfortune of having a pretty nice discussion that only recorded my voice. So I know you guys love my voice, but I think we'd like to hear from Thibault too. So Thibault, thanks for coming on and thanks for your patience.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for inviting me. There's no problem at all. I have to practice with this thing.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about the background of how this amazing chess site came into existence?
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. Well, today, Leeches.org is quite a massive chess server. It's the solution a lot of people have chosen to play chess nowadays, be it in the browser or on their mobile applications. So it started as just a way to quickly play games with a friend, and it expanded to the point that today we can, of course, play games with friends, but also with total strangers, and against a computer we can play tournaments and study chess and save the study you make. We have opening explorers and computer analysis and forums and whatnot. What you want? I mean, it has grown a lot. The project started 6 years ago as a very simple technical experiment, and it was picked up by the chess community because it's an open source project. It works with the work of volunteers, and it has grown to the point that today it's the second most popular chess website on the internet, and we're very proud of it.
Yes, which is an amazing accomplishment. And Leeches has 3 core promises. For those not familiar with them, they are Leeches.org will always be free, it will never contain advertisements, and it will always be open source. So, Thibault, why don't you tell us about how you developed that philosophy for your site?
I think actually it's the best way to build quality software. Also, it's the most fun way because, in my opinion, having clients is not fun. I don't want to have a consumer relationship with the chess players. I want to interact with people, not just consumers, and I want them to be contributors, if possible. So the only way to get that is, of course, to have an open source code base. It's to make the project free, and because I hate advertisements for so many reasons, that was just.
So why do you hate advertisements?
I think it pollutes everything it touches. Advertisement. It needs us to be stupid, and it makes us stupid, and it's never required, really. And that's the point of Leeches. That's one of the points of Leeches. Of course, we want to provide great chess resources for everyone in the world, but we also want to prove that it's not required to have a profit-oriented idea in order to make a good website. And if it's free, it's not required to put advertisements. Today we have a lot of games played, a lot of players, there is some architecture, servers that we have to pay for. And we absolutely don't need investors, and we don't need advertisements at all.
Okay. Now, are there any advertisements that you like? Like if you're ever forced to watch a commercial, do you ever find any that you find entertaining or that maybe introduce you to a feature of a product that makes it more appealing to you?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, wow. Okay. You're a tough crowd. So I know that, and for a little more background, you're a 31-year-old coder. I'm an expert on your background now since we recorded this last week as well. So 31-year-old coder, and you've got a team of people working on Leeches besides yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. I just started the project. I'm still working on it every day, but most of the things that make Leeches work today, they're not from me. It's the work of a team. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and could you tell us a little bit about your background as it relates to chess?
I'm just an average chess player. I started, maybe I was like 8, 9 years old. My dad taught me the rules, as with most chess players, I heard. And I've just been playing casually, no tournaments, no club, just playing with whoever wanted to share a game with me. And I've been playing a lot more since I made LiChess, that's for sure.
Right, and I read somewhere in an interview that you said sort of the fundamental driver of LiChess, or rather your vision, it's bigger than chess in a sense. It's chess is just a vehicle for you to show what's possible with open source software. Is that a fair assessment?
That is how it started. Absolutely, LiChess started as a technical experiment. It was like 6 years ago, and real-time technologies were emerging on the internet. I wanted to experiment with that. I wanted to learn the technology. So I just wanted to make a quick project for real-time communication. And I was like, yeah, I like chess. Chess is simple enough. So I built a chessboard, connected chessboard that worked in the browser. And it started like that. And then for a few years, most of the improvement that I was doing it for the technical pleasure of it, just for the sake of learning stuff and experimenting with technology. But when the project went on and on, I became more and more interested in chess and how to best help the chess players around the world, and less about technology. And nowadays, everything I do about LiChess is no longer about me learning and experimenting, but only about making the best chess product on the internet.
Okay. And when did you transition to working full-time on LiChess?
Well, I've been working full-time for quite a while. Maybe 2 years ago was when I quit my last job in a French startup, Prismic.io, a really great startup. I can absolutely recommend to anyone working there. I will totally go back, but nowadays I just have to have all my time to focus on LiChess.
Okay, and for those of you who heard the interview that we recently had on Perpetual Chess with Luke Harmon Velati, you probably know that coders like Thibault and Luke are in very high demand in our society. So it's quite a sacrifice that Thibault's making in order to create this product for the chess community. So thank you for doing that.
Well, it's not a sacrifice at all. I absolutely love what I'm doing. And yeah, I will not take anything else, really. Okay. It's a lot of fun.
I'm glad to hear it. And for those, since we do have mostly a chess playing and chess interested audience, why don't you take us through what a typical day is like for you as someone more on the code and designing side? What do you do on a given day to make LiChess better? Yeah,
sure. Well, first the phone rings at 8 a.m. Usually, and I'm going to review the emails and the Slack, the team Slack, make sure nothing bad happened during the night. Usually nothing bad went during the night, because if it did, then the phone will have rang during the night and I will have woken up. So if I didn't, it means everything was good. So quickly I proceed to deploying the source code from the day before. I try to do the deploy very early in the morning, because that's the time when LiChess is the more quiet and it's not going to disrupt too many games. After I do that, I'll usually take a cup of coffee, answer the emails. We receive about maybe 30 emails a day. So customer, not really customer, but support for chess players. And then I'll be reviewing the work that was done by the team during the night, and merging pull requests, which means adding more code or reviewing code that people want to add to the site. Then proceed to coding myself, fixing bugs, and preparing everything for the deploy on the next morning.
Okay. Great dedication that you leave your phone on to ring in case of technical issues. I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, we want LiChess to run. I mean, that's more important than my sleep. And fortunately, it very rarely happens that someone has to call me during the night. It's at most once a month, not more than that.
That's a lot, though. Once a month to have your sleep disrupted for a free program where you're donating your time.
Well, that's quite normal actually. For a sysadmin, which is a professional of keeping servers alive, these people, they are called much more often than that.
Okay. And do you have, so I know you've got a team of people working with you, so do you guys like set a schedule to make sure that there's always someone monitoring the site?
We don't set a schedule, but there is always someone monitoring the site. There are people in the team from absolutely everywhere in the world. So there's always someone on it. Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And the people who help you with your site, like how do they discover it, and what do their backgrounds tend to be?
Well, there are very different kind of people in the team. We have, of course, some technical people, programmers, usually quite young. They might be students or working for a company. Everybody is volunteer. They all do that on their free time, of course, which is a strength, really, because it means Leeches is written by people who do it out of passion. They do not do it for money. I mean, we can do a lot of good work for money, of course, and we all have to. But when you're doing the work that you do out of passion and because you really want to do it and you're not getting any financial compensation for it, in my experience, it really gives the best out of people. They just give the best that they have, and that's how we can achieve really, really great quality. Oh man, what was the question again?
How you find your team?
Yeah. They're absolutely amazing people. There's some technical people helping me with development, and everyone can take part of this. Just propose some changes to the code, and we are going to review them and maybe apply them. And if they do it often enough, they can join the team. There is Lucas Bonnet, who does the sysadmin stuff, which is caring about the servers. There's a huge team of moderators, of course, keeping track of communication on the site, ensuring that everyone is being fine and nice. And other moderators who do the anti-cheat work, absolutely necessary. Like there's like 10 or 12 people doing that every day. And there's also just chess lovers and streamers and people using the site and who have ideas about where the site should go and what should be implemented and what should be improved.
Okay. Yeah. And could you take us through a couple of the additions you're working on currently? I mean, I know you guys have a lot of chess variants. You have your analysis board that's very popular. What other projects do you have in the hopper?
Yes. Well, that's not very exciting, but I got to improve the way the site is translated. Of course, we do the translation with contributors in a typical open source manner, like everything else. Leeches is actually translated in 80 languages, which is absolutely huge. But like 5 years ago, I coded a way for anyone on the website to help translating. People can come and say, hey, there's no translation in Tagalog, my language, so they can start and contribute the Tagalog translation, and they just provide like 10 or 15 sentences out of the 500, I think, and someone else can come and continue the translation. And this way, we have built 80 languages translation for Leeches. I have to improve on that because we have more and more sentences to translate, and the system I built 5 years ago was designed for like 80, 100 sentences for like 10 or 12 languages. And today it's grown so big, it's no longer manageable. So I'm working on finding a better way to crowdsource the translation of the website. And then we're going to improve on the learning aspect of the website. Maybe the new variant, we're talking about it. I'm not sure yet. We're also working on improving clock precision and lag compensation. And a lot of other stuff. It's happening all the time.
Are you able to say what variant you're thinking about?
We are thinking about Serra 1 chess, but yeah, I make no promise at all. I think a variant is a lot of fun. It's always fun to code, and there's always people glad that we did that. But at the same time, it adds complexity to the site. It adds UI complexity. Everywhere we display ratings, we have to display potentially ratings for all these variants. It splits the user base, and it adds code complexity, which makes everything then harder to fix and to improve.
And how popular are the chess variants? Do you have a sense of like what percentage of users are playing them?
Oh, we have precise numbers. Yes, I don't have them right here, but they're not popular.
Yeah, that's what I would think. So it's funny because you know you'd probably get 1 or 2 requests for it, but really it's like that's the person that's going to use it. You know, especially as you get to the more obscure variants.
Yeah, exactly. It's always the same thing. Like there's a group of people who want absolutely a certain feature, like a chess variant, and they're absolutely enthusiastic about it. And they're gonna tell you, yeah, if you build that feature, if you add this variant, your website is going to become insanely popular. It's going to be absolutely huge. But they're only talking for themselves, in fact. And most of people, they absolutely don't care. So that's why I'm very reluctant nowadays to adding variants. The last one I added was Racing King. And it has a very enthusiastic community, but in fact, like it's one player out of 1,000 who cares about it and plays it. And
So how does it work? Is it like the kings try to get to a certain square or what?
Your king has to get to the opposite rank.
Okay.
All the pieces start on the same side of the board. It's very weird, and you have to raise your king to the other side of the board, and you cannot give check. And it's really, really weird. Really fun variant to play, but a lot of people, they just don't care learning about these rules.
Okay, and Thibault, we've had guests on who do work for Chess24 and Chess.com. How do you envision Lichess fitting in within the sort of online chess ecosystem? Do you consider them competition?
Yes, in a way they can be competition, but we're just building our thing. We don't mind really what the others are doing. We get requests of what chess players want, and we know what we want to do and in which direction we want to go, and we just do it. We don't really regard them as competition because they're companies, they're here for profit. We are not. We are a non-profit association. It's really not the same goals. I mean...
Okay. I'm just curious because I as you know, I have friends who make their living from it, and I think some people perceive Lichess as a threat and others don't. I'm of the mindset that it's good to have a place to play for free, and the other chess sets can provide things that yours can't. I'm not as opposed to the profit motive as you are, but I'm still a big fan of what you guys are doing. Maybe it can be a threat to a few people who are going to make a bit less money, but at the same time, I think it's a huge benefit for tens of thousands players who are glad to play for free, maybe because they can't afford to get a premium account on a paying website, maybe because they don't want to see ads, just like me. So, yeah, I mean, in everything good, there is going to be someone finding something bad about it all the time. I don't mind. Yeah, and so I imagine you have some overhead costs for Lichess. So how are those covered?
Lichess costs, yeah. Everything is very transparent. We have a public Google Doc that details all the money that we spend. It's like, if I remember correctly, it's 1,500 for the servers. So that's where most of the money go. Per month, yeah, okay. Absolutely. And then there's some extra costs for hosting and GitHub and sending emails and stuff like that. And we are trying to put some money in the association, the French association that I made, in order to pay me a salary, a full-time salary, very modest salary, but that's going to allow me to continue working on Leeches. And all of that is paid by the donations. Okay. Chess players make donations for the project. We don't even do any call. We don't bug people about donations the way like Wikipedia does, for instance. It's actually quite hard to find the donation page on Lichess, but it's sufficient because we get enough money to pay the server and soon to pay me a modest salary. So that's all good.
So are you able to support yourself based on the donations?
I would be based on the donations. I'm not yet, but that's because of French government and laws being very slow and very heavy in order to start getting a salary out of an association.
Okay, and I know that you like to travel too. So do you get to you get to take your work on the road?
Yes, absolutely. Last travel I did was in Asia. I was for 8 months in Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam, and I've been working all the time, like every day. I moved to a new place. I settled in a new place, and I start working basically. And from time to time, of course, I'm going to take some time off and visit around and enjoy the country, you know, and connect with the people around. But even when I'm traveling, still most of my time is spent working. Yeah.
Okay. And when you meet people and tell them that what you do, how do they generally react?
It's a mix of disbelief and incomprehension most of the time. So I usually don't, unless I think I'm facing someone with some technical knowledge. You know, I just say that I'm a programmer. You know, I'm not like, hey, I run LiChess.org. It becomes a little bit complicated to explain really what it is. So even times. Every time, of course, I see someone playing chess when traveling, I go and offer a game, and when they're playing chess. And sometimes it's really funny because nowadays people they play on their mobile phone. Of course, even when they play on the board, very little people actually carry a board, a chess board. So we play on mobile, and sometimes they just launch the Leeches mobile app. I just have a small smile, but I enjoy not saying who I am.
Oh, that's funny that you've seen that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I'm like, hey, I know this app, it's really good. And then we play chess and we have fun and we enjoy beer and that's it. Yeah.
Nice. Sounds good. And you like to, we discussed last week, you like to bring a guitar as well. Is that part of your traveling experience?
Yeah, especially when I go to countries where I don't speak the main language. I mean, if you have a chessboard and the guitar, you're going to be able to communicate with most people around the world, is my theory. And it does work pretty well. I mean, those are the universal languages.
Nice. And how did you settle? You said you recently moved. So how did you decide where to live?
I came back to France for 2 reasons. First, because I needed to make a French non-profit association for Leeches. And then because most of my friends are in France, and I just wanted to touch base, you know, enjoy my friends before I go back to traveling. Next time it's going to be in Colombia.
Nice. Do you have your flight booked?
Not yet. I usually do that at the last time. The prices are the same.
Yeah. And what about, like, where do you typically stay when you're traveling?
Very cheap backpacker guest house is my pick all the time. I just love the ambience. That's great way to meet a lot of people, and it's cheap as well. So
okay. And when you go to do your coding, are you typically doing it like at sort of, you know, wherever you're staying, or do you go to coffee shops, or what's your routine since you're always in a different place?
Usually in different places. Usually public places. I like in Asia, most guest houses, they have a large public room with couches and very chill. People play music, they chat around, they have beers. I like to just bring my computer here and start working here. And I like being disconcentrated. Is that an English word? Yeah, maybe. By the people around and picking occasions to just leave the screen and starting chatting with people.
Okay, so let's get back to talking about chess. I know you mentioned your dad taught you when you were 9. What's your own chess experience like? Like, do you have a rating and do you have goals in chess? How do you approach it when you're playing?
I do have a goal in chess. It's to have fun.
That's the best goal.
Yeah, I'm not really a competitive person, but I enjoy. I absolutely love playing. I do play about between 10 and 30 games a day. I play a lot of blitz and bullet chess. I'm like an average internet chess player. My rating is about 1600 on LiChess, the average being 1500. And nowadays, I do play a lot of bullet chess. I'm suffering from a bit of a bullet chess addiction, tilting hard, like for 1 hour in front of the screen and swearing and sweating a lot. And it's just kind of a workout. It's a lot of fun, but I also do like slow blitz and I always have like 7 to 10 ongoing correspondence games as well, on which I can spend like 15, 20 minutes on each move.
Okay. And do you ever discover like bugs in the software from playing?
Not really from playing. Yeah, not really, because the way I use the software is the way I planned it to be used. And that's not the way you find bugs. I do find bugs when watching people live streaming or making YouTube videos. They hit all the bugs. And that's why I spend also a lot of time watching chess videos and live streams. It's fantastic to see people using your software. You know, they hit bugs that you had never imagined. They fail to find features that you thought were obvious. And they also find new ways to doing things, to using the software that you didn't imagine at all. It's very rich and very interesting to do that.
Nice. And probably helps your chess a little bit too.
Yeah, at the same time, which is a nice benefit.
And do you have any like favorite YouTubers or streamers?
Oh yeah, of course. I love Tony Rotella. He has a great play style. He explains very well. He knows Leeches a lot because he conceals. He gave me a lot of hints about where Leeches should go and what it should do. I also love Astana, and I very rarely miss an episode of Chess Whiz.
Okay, so Tony Rotella and Astana Lopez, two up-and-coming YouTubers.
Yes.
Oh, and do they help you with improving the site?
Yes. Tony Rotella is part of the team, and he's an absolute chess lover and opening nerd. He was of absolutely great help to build the Opening Explorer, for instance, and also to build Leeches Studies, the synchronized analysis chessboard of Leeches. I did the coding, but he did all the product owning, which is he had the vision for these features. He knew what he wanted and how it had to be, and I just followed his instruction and built the code, and that's the best way to work.
Yeah, I'm sure that was helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. And with coding, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your background of how you got into coding?
I started quite young. Before we even had a computer at home, I got a graphical calculator. It was required for school. And I figured that you could get the calculator to do things that were actually not boring. Calculators are usually designed to make calculation, boring stuff and graphs and things. But you could also make games out of them. So I started printing source code from the school's computer, and you could not connect the calculator to the computer and transfer the source code to the calculator. So you actually had to use a printer and print out the source code and then enter it again by hand into the calculator. And that's how I learned the basics of programming.
So was there what was the original action that made you even think about printing the source code of a calculator? Because that would never occur to me. Like, was something not working, or
I don't know. I guess I'm just weird.
Well, the chess world is better off for your weirdness, that's for sure. But yeah, I can't imagine like doing that. I mean, I kind of wish I had, because then I would know how to code. But that's incredible. And then so pick it up from there. What happened after that?
After that, I spent a lot of time doing that, and I met someone else doing that. He became one of my best friends. And then we moved on to computer programming, first BASIC, and then some C, and then Java, and then it was like 10 years ago, I built a Facebook-like website for my friends, where we could communicate real time and make all sorts of things, and the internet share pictures and travels and things like that. I spent a lot of time building that. So then naturally, I found a job doing pretty much the same thing, which is PHP and database. And then I did a lot of PHP for various companies. And it was 5 years ago, I decided to try something completely different. So I looked at the different programming languages, and I picked the one that was the farther from PHP, the most different, absolutely. So PHP is like quite easy to learn, dynamic, imperative programming language. So I went for something much more obscure, something statically typed and very functional programming oriented language. And I learned Scala. And that's the language that Leeches is entirely written of nowadays.
So did you have the goal of using it for Leeches, or you just wanted to learn a new language and it worked out that way?
I just wanted to relearn completely what my job was. I felt like I had learned everything I could about PHP and the way PHP programmers see the world. I just wanted to have a completely different point of view, and so that I can make my own choices, And I discovered that I absolutely love functional programming. I absolutely love static typing. So I learned Haskell as well, and Clojure, which are absolute fantastic programming languages. No one starts with that. They don't teach these programs, these languages in universities. That's very sad. People, they get to learn about Java and C++ most of the time. I think it's a big mistake. Guys, go learn Haskell. You'll thank me later.
So if you were to learn if you knew nothing about programming, you're saying Haskell would be a good one to learn first?
I've been teaching programming to a few people. So I think the easiest language to get started will be Clojure.
Okay.
It has very, very minimal syntax. It has no static typing. So the learning curve is very low, but it's completely functional programming oriented. There is no mutation. So that just makes things extremely clear and very simple to get started with.
Okay.
Clojure.
And when you teach yourself a programming language, how do you go about doing it?
I usually buy a book and then read a chapter, get extremely excited about what I learn, make a little project and get on the keyboard and use what I just learned, and then find that I need to know more than that. So go back to the book, learn something exciting again, and rinse and repeat. I think you have to learn theory and practice at the same time, in my opinion, to learn efficiently programming.
Okay. And to pivot a little bit, we talked about this last week, but I think it's an important topic for listeners to hear about. What do you guys do about cheating on Lichess?
We do a lot. There's a lot of energy that goes into fighting cheating, of course. There's a lot of people who are going to cheat on the internet. We are not mad at them. They don't realize what it means for the sport.
I'm mad at them. I think it's ridiculous, but go on.
Yeah, of course it is ridiculous, but they just don't realize. I think they don't realize that so many people are going to cheat. They're like, hey, I had the most fabulous idea. I'm going to use a computer engine and beat everyone. And I think most of them, they don't realize how big of a problem it is. They don't realize they're hurting their opponents and they're hurting online chess in general. Fortunately, most of them, they just do it in a very silly way. So it's very easy to detect automatically. Most cheaters, they're going to be automatically detected without any moderator intervention just after a few games. So they get a warning, then their account gets disabled, Some of them are going to go farther. Then they're going to make a new account, sometimes change the IP address, and try another way of cheating. We're going to catch that one automatically as well. And if they dig deep enough, they're going to, at some point, reach the limit of our detection, automatic detection. And that's where the moderators come to action. Basically, the system, we have different layers of cheat detection. And when it cannot mark automatically, it's going to warn the moderators. It's going to queue the player games for server chess analysis. It's going to queue the player profile in our machine learning cheat detection as well. And then it's going to notify moderators and ask them to have a human look at the case and determine whether or not the player is cheating.
Okay. And does it bother you that you guys have to, as a free site, spend so much time and energy dealing with people doing this for no clear personal benefit?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it. We'd rather do without, but I mean, that's how the world is. So we just deal with it. And eventually we do realize that the war is eventually lost because over internet, it's becoming increasingly difficult to tell if someone is an actual person or a computer, right? The computers nowadays, they are learning to speak, to read, to hear people talking. They can recognize images and whatnot. They are becoming increasingly similar to people. And chess, I mean, it's a very simple problem compared to the problem that we are facing even when we are just looking at the world and identifying objects. That's very complicated. Chess is much simpler. Computers have been knowing how to do that for a while. They know how to emulate a human playing. And it's just gonna go better and better for the online cheaters. And we are not gonna die. I mean, we know that eventually we are lost. Eventually the war is lost. But as we say, we will still fight all the battles because that's the only way we know that we can still have fun playing chess on the internet. Also, I would like to say that the cheat problem on the internet is vastly overrated. People love talking about it. There's nothing chess fans like to talk more about than cheating. I mean, there's like a real paranoia on the internet at the point that some people, every time they lose, they're going to be like, it's kind of an excuse for losing. You know, there is the possibility that maybe the other person was cheating, and so it's way too convenient to think that maybe they did. In fact, the cheat problem is really not a big deal on the internet, at least on LiChess.org. It's very well handled.
Well, that's good to hear. I know that people people do always ask about it. But yeah, I mean, it happens in tournaments too, like real life tournaments. I mean, if someone has the tournament of their life, there invariably are going to be cheating accusations, but like, you know, people's performance is variable. Sometimes people play at the best of their abilities and sometimes they don't. So
yes,
it's
it's hard to say.
It's unfortunate that it's such a big topic of conversation, but I'm glad that you guys are doing what you can.
At least on LiChess, there's no real point in cheating. I mean, they're not going to win any money by cheating, so at least they don't have this incentive. Right.
So, what is do you have like a long-term vision for Leeches? Do you have any goals for the future for your site?
I don't. I never had, and I don't know if I ever will. It's just happening, really. It got out of my hand like years ago, and it's no longer my project. It's the chess community project. I don't have real plans. I know for sure that the covenant is going to be respected. I know for sure that it's always going to be free. Every single feature is going to be free for everyone. There will absolutely never be advertisements on the site, not while I'm alive. And all the source code will be open source and open for contribution. That's for sure. That will never change. Apart from that, I mean, as long as there's people willing to work on it and make it better and better, it's going to be better and better. And that's how it goes.
Okay, and are there scenarios where you would scale back your workload and maybe go back to having a job, or do you think you'll be working on it for eternity?
I don't know. At the time, I have a lot of fun working on it. Maybe sometimes in a few years, or I have no idea. Maybe I will want to just do something else with my life and maybe quit programming and do something completely different. And that's of no concern for Leeches at all, because there are already people that are absolutely capable of taking over all of the source code and the server architecture and everything. I no longer I'm the only person to have all the access on Leeches. Even we have a word for that in programming and open source. Do you know about the buzz factor?
No, I don't.
All right, the buzz factor in an open source project is the number of people who have to go under a bus for the project to die.
Huh, okay.
See? So for most small project and for most open source project, they have a buzz factor of 1. And Leeches stopped having a bus factor of 1. I think it was almost 2 years ago. Nowadays, we have a bus factor of 4, I say 3 or 4. I mean, unless I and Lucas Bonnet and Vincent Velociter and Niklas Fikas go under a bus, Leeches is just going to do fine. So I can take vacation, I can change my job, I can change my life, and Leeches is still going to do fine without me.
Okay.
So maybe I will.
Good to hear, although no plans of changing right now, I guess.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I love it.
And we mentioned a little bit the other chess sites. Do you feel there's services they provide they do better than you guys? Anything in particular, or?
I guess we're talking about chess.com and chess24.com.
Primarily, yeah, in the ICC,
Yes.
Internet
Yes.
Chess Club.
Well, these websites, they do a fantastic job covering the chess events, the on-the-board official chess tournaments. They send people there, they write quality articles. Chess24 even has very good software for live transmission of the moves. So that's good. And they also have the means to actually pay chess professionals, which is a very good thing for chess in general. So
Yes, I agree.
Thanks to them for that.
Well said. Okay, well, let's see. Last time, before we let you go, we did talk about music a little bit, and I know that really piqued your interest. You're quite a music aficionado. So, those of us who are old and unhip like me, why don't you give us a few music recommendations?
Yeah, that's fun because I remember you really caught me by surprise with this question.
Now you're ready, though. Yeah,
I gave you. Yeah, I'm going. It was fun, so I'm going to give you the same recommendation. Actually, I mentioned a band that I'm an absolute fanatic of them nowadays. I just saw them in concert twice in 2 weeks. They're called Passion Coco. It's a French band. They play psychedelic cumbia. Cumbia, it's a music style from South America, dancing music, traditional dancing music for South America. And they just add a twist to it, they play it live, and they are absolutely fantastic, Passion Coco. And the other one I mentioned to you, because you caught me by surprise, and I had listened an album of Cannibal Corpse on the same morning. Quite a different kind of music, that's death metal. And I was listening to the album Vile. It's the absolute opposite of Passion Coco, where Passion Coco is all about having fun and light and the sea and drinks made from cocoa. Cannibal Corpse is about death and desolation and brutality and darkness.
Okay. I think I'm more of a Passion Coco kind of guy from what you've said.
I'm going to listen to any kind of music ranging from Passion Coco to Cannibal Corpse. And that's why I'm still going to mention these two.
Yeah, and the reason I had asked you, I had sprung it on you, is because you had one of your, I can't even remember exactly, but you had something named after Holly Cook, which I also checked out. So what was it on Lichess that was named after her? Do you remember? Because I know that it turned out to be quite an old reference.
Yes. I was traveling in South America at the time, and I met someone there who made me discover Holly Cook. She's a very talented reggae singer. I had an absolute blast listening to that singer. And at the same time, one of Lichess servers died. So I bought another Lichess server, and I had to find a name for the Lichess server, and so I just named it Holly for Holly Cook. That's just how it went.
That's funny. Okay, well, Thibault, I really appreciate your time and your patience with all the issues. I hope that when we hang up, I'll discover that this interview recorded. I
hope so.
Do you have anything else you'd like to say to our listeners?
I would like to thank the team that make Lichess possible. It's really not my job. We're talking about me today, but really, I just started Lichess, and nowadays it's built by a team of like 20 people. But not only them, everyone who's using the website and reporting bugs and reporting players and making translation, opening issues on GitHub, making code contribution. And it's really the work of the chess community. It cannot be regarded as the work of a single person, not as the work of a company, of course not, and not as the work of a small and closed team. Leeches, what it is today, it's the product of the international chess community, and it highlights what internet has made possible. And I'm so glad for that.
Okay, and if people would like to reach you, what is the best way for them to do that?
Send me a message on LiChess, naturally. We also have a Discord channel, and we own the LiChess IRC channel on Freenode. I'm always there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, Thibault, I wish you best of luck in the future. I'll certainly be watching to see what other chess variants you come up with for a couple people to play.
All right, thanks, Ben.
Thanks for listening to Perpetual Chess. To hear more episodes, give feedback, or suggest guests, go to perpetualchesspod.com. If you like the show, please help me out by telling your friends and giving me a high rating on iTunes. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Perpetual Chess Podcast.